evening. In just a moment, we're going to introduce everyone else on the panel as well as my co-moderator. But first, we just want to let you know that this time next week, we will have just another webinar with a brand new panel with us. And that title will be Make a Voting Plan Now. That will be again next Tuesday, September 29th at 7:30. All right, so let's get started. So our first panelist, I will quickly introduce, and she can tell you more about what she's doing, is Emma Bixler from Back to Blue, the Pennsylvania Democratic Party's unifying effort to elect Democrats at every level. Emma, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Owen. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
Great. So welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us in this important time. My name's Emma. I'm one of quite a few organizers across the state of Pennsylvania working to flip our state back to blue. And we are the Biden campaign, the Biden-Harris campaign in PA. So in Chester County, we have, I think there are 10 organizers here. My turf is in Kennett Township and Chadds Ford, and I also cross over into Concord Township, so I work in Delaware County as well, but I'm really looking forward to chatting with our other panelists tonight and answering your questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Emma, and thank you again for joining us. Up next, we have Dick Bingham, Chair of Chester County Democratic Committee, part of the Pennsylvania State Party, and within the National Democratic Party. How are you doing this evening, Dick?
I'm doing fine, and thank you for having me. My pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to talking to everybody about how they might get better involved, more involved in volunteering to help all of our candidates as we go through the next 41 days, I believe it is. So looking forward to this discussion.
Perfect. We have a long road ahead of us. But a very exciting one. Up next, we have Emily Dalgleish, an assistant in the campaign to elect John Kane to the PA Senate. How are you doing this evening, Emily?
I'm doing really well. I'm really excited to be here and excited that so many people are interested in getting involved this year. It's a great year to get involved, both for the national races, but also this state race. We all know Pennsylvania is really close to flipping, and so it's great to be here with you all talking about all the different races going on and how we can help each other out, get this community involved. Yeah, I'm here in Chester County. We have a few organizers here in Chester County, and we're really excited about being here and working with you all.
All right, fantastic. And one of our last panelists for this evening is Mr. Kevin Burke, an assistant in the campaign to elect Diane Herron as state representative in the 156th. How are you doing, Kevin?
I'm doing good, thank you, Owen. I appreciate the intro. I am Kevin Burke. I'm the campaign manager for Diane Herron, who's running in the 156 legislative district, which includes Westchester Borough, West Goshen North, East Goshen, Westtown Township, Birmingham, and Thornbury. So it covers a big area in Chester County, and I appreciate the opportunity to kind of talk about our campaign and how to get involved. It's a crucial election year, and I appreciate all of you for attending.
Of course, and we appreciate you being here with us tonight. And last but certainly not least, my co-moderator for this evening, Talisha Feemster. How are you doing?
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Owen. I'm great. Wonderful to be here. I'm going to be fielding questions to Owen and the panelists, and I'm really excited about today. So let's get started.
All right, let's get right to it. And again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below for this live stream this evening. Our program tonight is focusing on exploring ways various organizations and campaigns are engaging volunteers and how folks can join the volunteer efforts. So let's go back to Emma real quick. Can you tell us a little bit about how you've been working with Biden's campaign?
Sure. So our volunteer efforts are threefold. I'd say the first step into getting involved is identifying who your organizer is in your area You can do that by just signing up on the Biden website and you'll get a call from one of us. So please answer your phones for those random numbers because they could be an organizer. Or signing up on mobilize.us, which is a great site, and I know other campaigns use it as well. I can also share my contact information with this team and they can share it with you. But again, yes, our volunteer efforts are threefold. Right now, organizers are hosting team organizing meetings each week with their specific teams. So for example, in Kennett, Chadsford, and Concord Township, we have our team organizing meetings via Zoom every Saturday at 1 p.m. And those are opportunities to go over campaign updates, like your goals for your area, metrics that you need to hit as a team. Sometimes we have speakers and we do activities, so it's just a really good place to meet with other volunteers and Biden supporters. The second thing that volunteers are doing is virtual volunteering, and this is through phone banking and text banking. So the phone banking tools we use are virtual phone banks and auto dialers. A virtual phone bank is a more local tool. You dial yourself, and we are identifying not only support for Joe and Kamala, but for down ballot races and talking about the ways in which you can vote in the election. We also use an auto dialer tool, which is statewide. It has a higher contact rate because you're continuously connected with a voter. So those are the two options that we have at this time, in addition to text banking. And then our third option are voter activation centers, which are going up in different counties across the state. So there'll be one in Chester County that's like in the works right now, being set up to open. And there'll be one in Delaware County as well. And there'll be merch, like literature. And we will be doing physically distant lit drops, so no direct voter contact. But for people that want to get out and walk around and actually drop off literature, we have that option as well. So that's what's going on the Biden campaign.
All right, that sounds fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, up next, we're going to pass it over to Dick Bingham. Could you tell us a little bit more about yourself and how else we can get active volunteering?
Sure. Again, my name is Dick Bingham. I am the chair of the Chester County Democratic Committee. I've been the chair for the last 3 years. We're on a great roll in Chester County. We just surpassed Republicans on May 10th, I believe it was, in terms of total voter registration. Over the last 3 years, we've had 21 races that have been county-wide. We have won 18 of those, I believe. So we have a really strong winds at our back, and I'm really looking forward to another sweep year in 2020. I'll share with you my personal goals, but it's all of you who have the ability to make these goals come to fruition. But I'd like to see Chester County deliver at least a 50,000 vote plurality for Biden-Harris. I'd like to see us win all 9 state house races. I'd like to see us win the 2 state Senate races. And of course, I'd like to see our Congresswoman Chrissy Houlihan reelected. So that's a tall order, but I think right now, based on everything I'm sensing, is very doable. And what it takes is a lot of volunteers and a lot of effort on the ground. I'm going to give you 2 examples. One is which is rather not totally thought through, but I'd like to challenge each one of you to identify 3 friends, family, neighbors, and send them an email or a text and ask them, or first tell them that you're going to vote and how you're going to vote. Ask them if they have a vote plan, and then ask them to send 3 emails or texts to their friends. So I'm seeing that we've got 10 people in addition to the panelists on the line right now. If you run the math, you can really see how if everybody did that and went through 3 cycles, 5 cycles, we would touch a tremendous number of people. And the data tell us that those personal contacts, people that you know, are more likely to respond and more likely to accept your challenge than if it's, I'm sorry, Emma, if it's somebody like that they don't know. So make this very personal. Make this an opportunity for you to reach out to your family, friends, neighbors, have them do the same thing, and we can really get these voting trees in place. The second volunteering opportunity that I wanted to highlight, and Emma's already spoken to much of it, is the phone banks that we have organized across the country, across the county, I'm sorry. And there are kind of three ways that you might connect to those phone banks. The first is you can go to our website, chescodems.org /phone-banks, and it'll take you directly to everything that's going on this week in Chester County in the area of phone banks. It will talk about the Biden phone banks. It'll talk about each individual candidate phone banks, and it'll talk about our zones. The county is divided into 20 zones, and many of them have their own phone banks, virtual phone banks set up. And you can pick and choose as to which ones you would like to participate in. The other opportunity to connect with phone banks is to go to the individual candidates. They can point you, and particularly their campaign managers, can point you to the phone banks going on for their campaigns. And then thirdly, we have zone leaders, 20 zone leaders across the county. They each could also connect you with an appropriate phone bank. I have spreadsheets with all this information. I'm going to make sure that Kathleen Hood has it and can share it with everybody, not only those that are on the line, but everyone else that might be connected to this organization. So thank you very much. I really urge everybody to take their own personal challenge and get out there and contact and their 3 people and do this for, say, 10 days in a row. Can you imagine how many people we can connect with if 10 people connect with 3 people, and those 30 people connect with another 300? It's going to really multiply. And if we keep that going for up to 10 days, we'll reach an awful lot of people. And if we can get that into an even greater, a larger group, we will really push the envelope in terms of getting voter turnout, which is really what we've got to do. We've got to take advantage of our voter registration advantage that we have and really make sure that we elect every one of our candidates up and down the ballot. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dick, and we appreciate you being here this evening.
My pleasure.
All right, so up next, we're going to send it back over to Emily. Emily, can you tell us a little bit more about the race so far and the work you've been doing?
Definitely. Yeah, we're really excited about this race. It's one of the closest in the state that can help us flip the state Senate. And if we're going to flip the state Senate, we need to flip this seat. So we are running a really strong campaign. Since the primary, we have made 200,000 voter contacts, which we're really excited about. And that has been through our fantastic volunteers and also through a really robust high school and college internship program. So I'm excited that we're not only reaching out to these voters, but also building up this next generation of political organizers. So it's been really great to be able to see that happen. And so we do have a few different ways of getting involved. And if you're interested in any of these ways, please email me. That's the easiest way to get this set up. My email is Emily, EMILY, @Kane, and then the number 4, Senate.com. And so the first way that we have to get involved is phone banking. We do have those daily, if you would like to do that kind of on your own time. Once again, we have the typical phone bank, but then on Thursdays from 4 to 7 p.m., we have our dialer event, and then we have most of our volunteers hop on a Zoom together chat with them a little bit and get them trained up on our dialer. And then that's a really great way to kind of get to know other people who are volunteering on this campaign and make a lot of calls together. So we really recommend doing that Thursdays at 4 p.m. And we are also doing some in-person work, knocking on some doors, canvassing. So if you're interested in doing in-person work, we do have that, of course, with lots of safety precautions. And so we are being as careful as we can be. But we're really excited about this election, this race, and John. And so I'm excited to be here. Please reach out to me, Emily@kaneforsenate.com, if you're interested. And also, if you know any young people, any high schoolers, any college students who want to get involved, want to do an internship, please send them my way too. We would always love to have more young people too. So thank you so much. And I'm really looking forward to the work we're doing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you.
All right, and we're going to head over to our last panelist here. We have Kevin. So Kevin, I see you are an assistant in the campaign to elect Diane Herron. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about who she is and the work you've been doing with her?
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who don't know, Diane is probably the newest candidate on the ballot in Chester County. There was when Andy Dinneman retired from his Senate seat, Carolyn Comita, who currently is the Democratic representative in the 156th district, ran for the Senate seat and the 156th seat. When she won her Senate primary, she dropped out of the race, and then Diane became the candidate following a special nomination. She won with 75% of the vote. If you don't know who Diane is, she's the current mayor of Westchester. She's been there since 2017. Diane is professionally an energy efficiency and renewable energy consultant, mainly working with school districts and municipalities to help improve their renewable energy capacity. So, yes, so Diane is really running on 4 main issues, what she calls her 4 E's, which are economy, education, equity, and environment. So economy, Diane has done a lot of work in the borough of Westchester. As soon as COVID hit, she led the charge to close down Gay Street and make it an open air marketplace, really to save our local businesses. Our businesses are really thanking really all she has done save them while also keeping public health as a priority. Environment, Diane is a renewable energy consultant and really wants us to make sure that Pennsylvania is on a track and on a renewable energy track. Really right now, we don't have a plan to move us towards 100% renewable energy at the state level. So Diane really wants to be at the forefront of leading us towards a clean energy future. Education. Pennsylvania at the state level is one of the worst in the nation in how much we fund our public schools. So Diane really wants to make sure that we fully fund our public schools at the state level. And equity. Pennsylvania really has fallen behind in many levels in terms of how we treat people like equally. It wasn't until the Supreme Court decision that just this past June or July that you couldn't be fired in Pennsylvania for being for your sexual orientation, and that's just not acceptable. There are so many ways that we need to get ahead to make sure that we treat people equally and fairly and really uphold what our founders said when they created this nation as a just and equal society. So the 156th district, which Diane is running for, if those of you who don't know, this is literally the definition of a swing district. 4 years ago, when Carolyn Comita won this seat, she won it by 25 votes. 25 votes. When you win a seat by 25 votes, everything matters. Every interaction that you have with someone matters. Everyone that you talk to about the campaign matters. Every phone call you make, every lit drop, that has impact. When a race can be won by that much, you can really, when you help out in that race, you can really take pride in saying, I really had an impact in ensuring a better future, in ensuring we have representation that actually acts on our behalf. So if you want to get involved in this race, I ask you to go to our website, which is heronforpa.com. You can sign up to volunteer. We're doing a lot of mostly what every other campaign is doing. We're phone banking, text banking, and also lit dropping. So obviously one-on-one conversations are the best ways that we can really sway people's opinion and really have a conversation with them about what our candidate is going to do for us in office, why they are the best person for the job. We could send people 8 billion different mailers, but actually having a conversation with their neighbor, with a friend, that's really what's going to sway people's opinion. That's what's going to matter. So if you can help us out phone banking or helping us with texting, we would really appreciate it. And if you want to reach out to me, my email is kburk@pahdcc.com, and I'll give the host of this webinar my information as well.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Kevin. All right, so we are about to head into a little Q&A session here. I'm going to pass it off to Talisha now.
Thank you, Owen. We already have a few questions in, like Owen said. If anyone wants to ask a question, please use the Q&A button on below so that we can get your question answered. Okay, so the first question. Please tell us why this is the election of a lifetime and why each person should consider volunteering even if they have never volunteered in an election before.
All right, let's see. Could we pass that first one off to you, Dick?
Well, sure. So I'm probably got the most years of everybody here, so I can be very confident in saying this is the election of a lifetime. Have we ever seen such a critical election where, as Joe Biden rightfully said, early on I wasn't that fond of the slogan, but this truly is the fight for the soul of the nation. It is so much difference between the two candidates, and even begin to fathom 4 more years of Trump is just unbelievable. And you add on to that the possibility of flipping the state house and flipping the state senate and retaining the advantage we have in the U.S. Congress with Chrissy Houlihan. We have so much to offer in this election here in Chester County that it is just an opportunity of a lifetime. It's not just an election of a lifetime, it is an opportunity for us to really put the nation back on a more normal track, something that we can be proud of. We can be assured that our friends across the oceans are going to re-engage with us and to really work with us to solve some of the global problems like global warming. We have so much that can be done. It is so exciting, and I'm really glad to see all these volunteers who are going to help make it happen.
Thank you, Dick. Next question, Owen, is from Dr. Jerry Alman. I apologize if I pronounced your name incorrectly. Do I need to be a member of Diane Herron's district if I want to volunteer to help her campaign?
No, absolutely not. You can be a volunteer from anywhere. We appreciate any help, and we can get, anyone is welcome to volunteer, absolutely. If you want to go to our website to sign up, or you can send me an email as well. We would love to have you as a volunteer.
Can I do a shout out to Jerry Alman as well as Kathleen Hood for the car parade that they were organizing and involved in on Saturday? Jerry was the one that was driving if anybody saw it, the pickup truck with the big Biden-Harris sign on it. it was a tremendous afternoon, or morning and afternoon, really. And they registered 116 new voters during that period just in Coatesville. So fantastic work, Jerry. Thank you very much.
All
Thank
right.
you for mentioning that.
And real quick to go off of that, Dick, we'll mention this again later, but we actually have 2 more car rallies coming up this Saturday, one at 10 o'clock in Westchester and the other at 12 o'clock in Malvern. We'll have more information on that at the end of this panel and webinar.
Thanks, Owen. Next question is from Teresa Burns. Where does one access training videos and how-to for text banking? Also, can you email notes from this session in case we have to leave early?
I'll go ahead and answer part of that first and say, yes, we can send off notes. If you are interested in staying in touch with the group, we also have a Facebook group called Chester County for Biden-Harris 2020, and we'll be sure to send out follow-up emails after this webinar. Emma or Emily, did either of you want to talk about any training videos you might have heard about that people can get access to?
Sure. So I'll just quickly say, in regard to the Biden campaign, our data team hosts Zoom trainings on text banking that are actually a requirement to do before you start text banking because of the system that we use. I know, Kevin, you said you're doing some text banking as well, and maybe Emily, you are too. You can find those on the Mobilize website, which I'll share with Kathleen, so that goes out. You can also just contact me and I'll be able to send you that link via email or text, whatever works for you. But Kevin and Emily, if you two want to answer for your own campaigns.
We aren't doing any text banking, so I'll let Kevin hop in.
I would just say for whenever we start any of our volunteer opportunities, whether it be phone banking or text banking, we always do a training with our volunteers for anyone that's new. We always just kind of hop on a Zoom or a Google Meet like this and just kind of go through the system with everyone, and then we scurry off and go get to volunteering. So yes.
Thanks, Kevin. Okay, next question. What method of voting do you recommend, panelists?
May I answer that?
Sure.
So my approach is to tell people that they ought to be applying for their mail-in ballot. And the reason for that is that it gives them several options. If they don't apply for their mail-in ballot, they only have one option, and that is to vote in person on November 3rd. But if they have their mail-in ballot, they can mail it back using the Postal Service. They can bring it back to a drop box. Those drop boxes locations, by the way, were just announced today and can be found on the Chesco website, chesco.org website. Also, if you have the desire to really be in-person voting, they've also announced places where you can go and fill out your mail-in ballot and drop it in a box as you're filling it out. There are, I believe, will be 3 locations for that possibility. The 4th one, of course, is to vote in person. But if you really want to prepare yourself for what the unknown conditions may be like on November 3rd, I urge everyone to apply for a mail-in ballot.
Great. Thank you so much. Emma?
Yeah, I just wanted to emphasize what Chairman Bingham said, and vote early. That is really what we're pushing. I mean, apply for your mail-in ballot and then send it right back or drop it off. That's what I'm going to do. And that's what we're pushing with the Biden-Harris campaign. It's in our scripts, like, vote early, get it done.
Great. Thank you so much. That question was really important, Rob, so thank you for asking that. Dr. Jerry Alman again asks, currently only 33% of Chester County Democrats have requested a mail-in ballot. Is that true?
Well, it's a little higher now.
Okay.
We have 70,000 Democrats who have requested a mail-in ballot. That's as of last Thursday, I believe. It's steadily going up. So the percentage, I don't know, I think it's 70 over 153, whatever that works out to be. So it's around 40 to 45%. And it's increasing. My goal is to get to at least 60%, and that'll give us 20% in-person voting for a voter turnout that's somewhat in excess of 80%.
Oh, wow. Great. Thank you. That's really important. We got to get those in. Next question. In light of the anticipated crunch of mail-in ballots, what is the best way to assist in helping make sure all ballots are counted?
Get them back early.
It's as simple as
I'm not sure that we can do anything other than to make sure all our ballots get back.
yes.
And I want to make sure I emphasize that, if you're going to use a drop box, you have to take it there in person. You can't gather up a whole bunch and take them to a drop box. Everybody has to bring their own ballot to a drop box. Otherwise, they would call that ballot harvesting. And I remember things that happened, I think it was in North Carolina, relative to that. We don't want to get into that situation. So if you're going to use a drop box, take it back yourself, even if you and your spouse are going to drop your ballots off. Both of you should go to that drop box. So Emma is absolutely right, though. As soon as you get your ballot, fill it out, either put it in the envelope and make sure you use the secrecy envelope, because if the so-called naked ballot without a secrecy envelope will not be counted. That was one of the recent rulings of the PA Supreme Court. And put it in the secrecy envelope, put it in your return envelope, which has postage paid already, but make sure you sign it, date it, put it in the mail. And we are saying, and maybe this is even too optimistic, but have it in the mail no later than 10/10/20. October 10th, 2020, 10/10/20, easy to remember. Get it in the mail by then.
Great. Thank you so much, Dick. Such important information. Okay, next question. I don't have a lot of time to volunteer, but how can someone get involved in their family, get their families and communities involved in their neighborhoods?
So I don't mean to monopolize here, but that was sort of along the lines of what I was talking about earlier. Identify 3 close friends, family members, send them a message, encouraging them to vote by mail, and then encouraging them to send the same message again to 3 of their friends. And if you can get your younger family members, your sons, your daughters involved, let them do that. Let them do it by text. Text 3 of their friends. Make sure they're voting. Make sure they're applying for their mail-in ballot. And make sure they in turn reach out to 3 of their friends. And do this day after day between now and, I say, at least the next 10 days. And if we can do this by a huge number of people, we'll reach a lot. The numbers go up dramatically. That's why these pyramid schemes work so well. It's not a pyramid scheme, but it is a phone tree or a text tree that will blossom with new voters.
I would also say that the first time you volunteer will take the most time just because you're training, you're learning it. But if you can find an hour, even half an hour every week, and then do it the same time every week, then you should be set to go, and you can be really efficient with your time, be really effective with your time. Or if you only have half an hour every week, but you have 2 friends who have that same half an hour, that's an hour and a half. So if you can find people to volunteer with you, even if it's over Zoom, or maybe it's people in your household, then you can really be able to amplify that time. Same idea as far as bringing people in. Volunteering is more fun when you're doing it with your community. So if you have book clubs, family members, anyone who you think might want to get involved with you, invite them and at least give them an ask. And if they say no, that's okay. But if you can bring more people in to help you out, it makes everything more fun and also more effective.
Emily is completely right. And if you volunteer for 1 hour once a week, that's 6 times. I mean, that's it. That's all we're working with. So that's one of the great things about these virtual tools is you can do it from home, from anywhere. I mean, it's like work from anywhere, and it's 6 weeks out. So not a huge commitment.
So Emma, could you talk a little bit more about phone banking? I know that phone banking is really a way to get in touch with these folks and, talk to as many people as we can before the election. Could you talk a little bit more about phone banking?
Sure. And I'd like to emphasize something that Kevin had said a little earlier, having one-on-one conversations with voters. Mm-hmm. This is so important, and this is why we are phone banking every single day, because while mailers are great and like postcards are a great reminder to vote, campaigns need data in order to be successful and in order to persuade. And we can't do that. I mean, the Biden-Harris campaign is not knocking on doors. Some other campaigns aren't either. So the only way to get that information and to have those persuadable conversations are via phone banking. And are there any specifics you'd like me to go over? I can go over like targets of who we're reaching out to maybe.
Well, I think that there are a lot of people who are not comfortable with phone banking. Mm-hmm. So can you talk a little bit about how those Zoom calls work to get folks comfortable with phone banking?
Yeah, so before every shift on our campaign, and I think Emily and Kevin said this is for you as well, you will have a like mini Zoom training. And a lot of campaigns will keep the Zooms running in the background during an entire shift. So if you have it off for a while, but you have a question in real time, you can always just hop back in the Zoom and ask your organizer. And you can even stay on the phone with the voter and be able to answer it for them right then and there. So you're always going to be surrounded with organizers, other volunteers who are going through this together, making these calls at the same time. And we're there to train you beforehand. So before you make calls, you will always get a training so you feel confident, comfortable, you'll have the right materials in front of you. And it really comes with practice. I had a volunteer who started phone banking for the first time in July or early August, and he sent me an email a few weeks ago and was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I could be a telemarketer, like this is so easy now. And it's just because he did it every single week, it got just comfortable for him. So my best suggestion is just start making it a routine.
So that's one of the ways that I actually volunteer. I am a technical support for Zoom. So I sit on Zoom from 3 to 5 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then when folks are having any technical issues, they just come back and I hang out on Zoom. So thank you so much for explaining that. It really is important. So folks will know that they have support. Emily, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I would say too that the first few calls you make are really terrifying and awkward, and they may go not great, and that's okay. But once again, if you're doing this an hour a week, every week, or maybe 2 hours a week, we would always love more. By the time we get to election day, you will be convincing voters left and right. And so getting past those initial first 5-10 calls and feeling a little nervous, things will go a lot smoother after that. And I think Kevin has something to add too.
Yeah, I would just say whenever you do a phone bank, and this is for people that have never done it before, you're never going in without any information. There's always going to be a script for you that's always very clear to follow, and normally the campaigns will give you talking points just to make sure that you're following, just in case a random question comes up, where does Diane stand on this issue? where does she stand on education? Like normally people will give you that information. So normally that doesn't happen, but like you always will have something in front of you to make sure that you're staying on the right track.
Great. Thank you so much, Kevin. Next question is from Rob Owen. Where can we find information on how to fill in mail-in ballots so it will be accepted?
I would say before we pass that off to some other panelists, I know our own website that we'll talk a little bit more after we finish up this Q&A is a great resource to use for all of these different videos and how-tos on how to just go about voting and just other information you might need during this voting season. And that website is voteallofus.together.com.
I'd also point people to the Chester County website, chesco.org, voter services. They will have all the information on there about how to fill out the ballot. Frankly, it's not terribly different than voting in person, other than when you come to put your ballot inside your secrecy envelope, put it in the return mail envelope and sign it. All of those things, those steps are critical, but not terribly different than what you have done when you go for in-person voting.
Okay.
I believe. Oh, I was just going to say, Chairman Bingham, isn't there also now like an FAQ up on the voter services page? I believe I saw, so you can like go and check out if you have any specific questions about how to fill out your ballot or about the different methods to vote in Chester County. There's that on that site. There's also iwillvote.com, votespa.com. I mean, there are tons of resources out there. So if you do a little Googling, always send something to your organizer or to one of a panelist to make sure that it's legitimate, but there's a lot out there.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
So I'll just say I also work with Commissioner Mary Moskowitz, and she, I was just on the phone with her yesterday, and they just redesigned the chesco.org website, and they put up a full voting portal. Basically, everything you need to know about voting is in that portal. So it's right on the homepage at chesco.org, and you can go right there for pretty much any FAQ as well.
Thanks, Kevin. I think, Dick, you keep stressing about this secrecy envelope. What should a person do if they lose it or if something happens to their mail-in ballot? Is there anything that they can do to get another mail-in ballot if they lose it or if something happens to their secrecy envelope?
Well, I don't know the specific answer to that. I think you can probably go to Voter Services, the Government Services Center, and they can issue you a new ballot. By the way, not your question, but also an important point, if you have a mail-in ballot and you decide you want to instead vote in person, you may do that, but you have to take the whole package. So it has to have the return envelope, it has to have the secrecy envelope, and it has to have the mail-in ballot. You can take it to your polling place, hand it in, they will spoil that ballot and give you a regular in-person ballot. But you have to have all three. So I'm not sure if you somehow lost the secrecy envelope, you would probably be asked to vote provisionally.
Thank you for that. The next question comes from Rob. What criteria is used to determine contacts for phone bankers?
I can talk about who we're reaching out to in our campaign. We are reaching out to Democrats who haven't voted in every single election in the past few years, or have not voted as much in the past few years, and independents who lean Democratic. So people who are already decided either way, we know that they're going to vote, and we know that they're going to show up. So we're really reaching out to the people who we're either not sure that they have a plan to vote, or not sure if they know how to vote, and people who we need to persuade. And so that's kind of who we're reaching out to, making sure those people who are might be swinging or might not know how to vote are accounted for, and that we are reaching out to them, making contact with them and before the election.
Thanks, Emily.
On the Biden-Harris campaign, Evan Medina and our fantastic data team at headquarters are pulling our targets for us that we then narrow to our turf. We have 2 target universes at this time. One is persuasion, so very similar to what Emily was saying. We are reaching out to undecided voters, lean Democrats, infrequent voters in that universe, really having those persuasive conversations. And then our second universe are our vote by mail targets. So that is really looking at demographics, so people who might be at risk if they go to the polls on election day. And again, infrequent voters, just trying to encourage them to vote and vote early.
Thanks, Emma. One more question around voting. What assistance is available to support Hispanic and Latino voters, or people who have English as their second language?
I can answer this. So we have a statewide Spanish-speaking phone banks every Saturday. And we also have specific target universes that are collected with data from our data team, so Spanish speakers, and anyone who wants to make calls using our Spanish script can just get in contact with an organizer. I have one woman who makes calls for me every Monday through Friday just into that universe. So that's what we're doing on our end.
Great.
All right, perfect. I just wanted to thank Talisha and thank all of you so much for being here tonight. Just real quick before we start to wrap some things up, just going around the table one last time, Emma, Dick, Emily, and then Kevin, what's one important message you would like to leave our viewers with this evening? Emma, would you mind going first?
Sure. So I just want to thank everybody for joining us, and thank Kathleen and Owen and Talisha for having me. It's been really fun and a great break from my day. The message that I'd like to leave everyone is to set yourself up so that November 4th, no matter the outcome, you know that you did whatever you could to elect Joe Biden, to elect Kamala Harris, and to elect Democratic leaders in Chester County and in the state of PA.
Okay, I'm going to go and just say ditto to what Emma just said. We certainly all remember perhaps what we felt like on November 7th, I think it was, in 2016, and how depressing it was. I don't ever want to experience that again. We need to get back to saving the soul of our nation and really making this election one that we will be proud of and will remember for a long time. I do want to, if I may, take just a moment. You see in the background, at least for Owen and Emma, the Biden-Harris signs. Those are what we call window signs. We have a large quantity of those at our office in Westchester. We also have road signs, and we have Diane Herron signs. We have Chrissy Houlihan signs. We have John Kane signs. So we have a number of signs at the office. Anybody wants them, certainly feel free to stop by 37 South High Street.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dick. Emily?
Yeah, I would say that it's really easy right now to be afraid and to feel despair and not unwarranted. And I think volunteering is the antidote to those feelings. Being able to get involved and do your part always makes me feel a lot more hopeful. Being involved in this work is the best thing that we can be doing to counteract those dark feelings. And so this is definitely the best way to get excited about the future of our country, feel like you're connected with your community, and feel like you're doing your part. And really, whenever you feel like you need to rant on Facebook, I suggest you reach out to a campaign and get involved, because that is really the best way that you can make a difference.
Perfect. Thank you. And Kevin.
Thank you, everyone. I just wanted to reiterate what I said earlier, where your volunteering and your help to candidates across the county not just can, but will help them. It will make a difference in their races, and every phone call, every conversation you have gets them one step closer to their office and helping us as a community. So really, your help goes a long way for helping build better governments.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kevin. And thank you all panelists for being here tonight. We really appreciate you taking the time this evening. All right. And I just wanted to mention one last time, be sure to check out voteallafustogether.com. We welcome your donations at our site, and all proceeds will go to turning Chester County blue. Like Chairman Bingham said, if you need any bumper stickers, signs, feel free to contact that website again, as well as the other ones mentioned. And feel free to reach out to myself or any of the panelists this evening. One last reminder, we will be having another webinar this time next week called Making a Voting Plan Now. And it's really going to go over a lot of those things we already discussed tonight, like that secrecy envelope. And that's going to be next Tuesday, September 29th at 7:30. We hope to see you there. Thank you all again so much for joining us, and I hope you all have a great night.
Thanks, Owen.
Thank you, Owen.